Yeah. Check this. It is now time for Seed for Africa.
Stepping up. Stepping up.
Aid for Africa. Seed for Africa.
Of course it is. Seed for Africa is a good thing.
Seed for Africa.
Well, I think it's good that you're taking action.
The Seed for Africa. You're fantastic.
Seed for Africa.
Seed for Africa.
Well, the word out on the street is that it's positive, it's a good thing, and it's been a long time coming. We are at the birth of the launch of Seed for Africa. What does Seed for Africa mean? Well, Gisa Graham is in the studio with me. He's one of the founders, and he's here to explain what does Seed for Africa mean.
Self-empowerment and economic development for Africa. About the Zenu, it's more love and greetings to everyone. And to those who are new to this channel, I say thank you for getting on board. Now, we are on a journey, and the previous 3 legs of this safari can be found on our playlist, which is referenced in the description below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and to share, like, and comment on this video. In doing that, you'll be playing your part in spreading this idea whose time has now come. On this journey so far, we have looked at the spiritual, cultural, and political links between Kenya and Jamaica. We've also touched on the new direction in which Africa in general is now moving, and we have seen and heard a few references to Seed for Africa and to the African Safari. Now, this video and those to come will carry the same vibes as the previous 3 presentations, but there will now be a clearer focus on seed, which we will water, nurture to see it grow and bear bountiful fruits for Africa and Africans, those at home and those abroad.
So, what is the need for seed?
Well, I'd like to start by saying that I think during the 80s, a number of appeals for aid to Africa. Remember, in particular, the appeal for the first major famine in Africa, in Ethiopia. And I can remember at the time that I did not actually make a contribution to this. And it wasn't because I didn't feel compassion for the people. I imagine that any human being who has any degree of anything that could be called compassion must have felt for those, when you see the flies and the children, and you know, it's heart-rending. And yet, I could not bring myself to make a contribution. I never quite understood why, until I went to South Africa in 1999 to teach computing. And the experience brought home to me why I was not able to bring myself to make a contribution. What I found, and just to give you some idea of the impact that me being in Freiburg had. I remember when I first was driving up to the center where I would be working. I was about 30, 40 miles away from my destination, and I got stopped by the police. And they asked me for documents and so on, and they discovered that I was from the UK and that I'd come to teach computing. And about 2 months after that, I was in the center where I was working, and 2 gentlemen walked in, and one of them said, "My name is so-and-so, and I was one of the policemen who stopped you." And ever since I stopped you, we wanted to meet you. So he actually found out all of his own, found out where I was, and they actually came. Because for the African to see a black person making a contribution to the needs of African is something that is very, very meaningful. They are totally used to any sort of contribution being made, such contributions coming from whites. And it was just phenomenal. You could see the difference that it made to the way that people felt. And I came back from Africa after about 18 months. I came back very conscious of even why I didn't contribute in the first place, because I suppose subconsciously I was aware of the fact that, yes, black people might be making their own individual contributions to any voluntary or aid effort, but the world sees white people helping blacks. And that had a negative impact on my own mind. And I felt that, yes, black people really do need to be visually, I'm sure that there are black people who do make contributions, but it's not something that the world is aware of. And so I came back conscious of this, but the dawning of seed came about through my interaction with Elder. He is one of those elder Jamaicans who's always felt passionately about Africa. And he's been visiting Africa, various parts of the continent, for quite some time. And he's made very, very close links with Tanzania.
Greetings, my brethren. Greetings. Greetings, everyone. What I'm saying is that we are today what the youths are tomorrow. But if we, the elders, can set some examples, then many of the young youths will have something to prepare and do. Because you'll find some don't want it, but you'll find some will glad for it because they see some foundation set. And I am always going to be that foundation set, and I want to be the foundation.
So you're saying that Seed really is appealing to the role models of today to be the example for the youths of tomorrow?
Yes, example for the young youth and to see, come to follow, and at least they have a foundation set. They will build on it. We do know that we not expect that everybody will gladly run to do it. But they will see something done and see the fruit that bearing, and we are the one to help set that role model for these youths. We can blame the youths them, we can call the youths them, but the youths them could turn and ask us as elders, what you have done? How old are you? You say, I'm 70. What you have done? You haven't done nothing for us. No, I say we can do a lot for ourselves if we only can stop and think. If we can set those examples, then the youth will follow on. But we don't set the example. Many of us only can chat, but there's no examples. Well, elder man don't want to chat, just chat. Elder man want to do and put Africa on the map of plentiful.
So tell me what is Steel Pulse going to bring to the assistance of Seed?
I'd like to know we can contribute. I mean, for example, we're an international act, Reggae, and I mean, most of our projects are based on touring as well as recording, but mostly touring. I'd like to know that we can assist him as far as when we actually do events, you know, on their behalf.
Speaking about Live Aid and other such organizations, they used a lot of well-known artists who, we have to say, have achieved a lot more and earned a lot financially, even though in earlier days they didn't sing about Africa or to the problems of Africa. How are you going to be able to achieve this? Because on Live Aid, I believe like ourselves, you offered your services, but it wasn't accepted in Live Aid.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to Live Aid. I mean, we're talking about, what, 1985?
We're talking about a while.
It's about 18 years. And I'm saying it now like what I said back then. I mean, there were entities, there were acts that wanted to participate in, you know, what Live Aid was about, especially black acts, and especially acts that were reggae orientated like ourselves.
We're very conscious of Africa and the problems in Africa.
As a matter of fact, that actually brought to the limelight the plight of the Ethiopians in the first place. I mean, you know, within reggae music, it's always been said and it's always been uttered about the exploitation of Africa, whether it's financially, spiritually, mentally, physically. We've always aired our views within the music. And to know that us being, you know, such, you know, in the whole focus of things, to be eliminated when the actual Live Aid took place, you know, having a reggae band, you know.
It was a very hurtful situation at the time.
It was like a kick in the groin.
Now, I'm going to bring in Sister Zaudatu Ashwa. You're a surgical assistant, and I believe that you have already accumulated quite a lot of medical supply for Ethiopia. Tell us a little bit more, because I believe you went down to Shashamane.
Yes, I've been involved with people in Shashamane for quite a few years. And initially it started off with a sister of mine went down there to settle. She had a child, but unfortunately died during childbirth, and I decided to take up.
I believe you say that even anaesthetists have problems, they don't have certain things?
Yes, I've been asked by anaesthetists for chest drains, for uniforms, stethoscopes, antibiotics. There's just such a lack of resources in the area that I would do something to assist them.
And you, what kind of things have you got to take down in a...
Well, it's growing. I mean, I work as a very busy city hospital in Birmingham, and basically what I've done is started to collect a lot of stuff that the hospital takes for granted and would otherwise throw in the bin. So I would get, for example, computers, uniforms, books, toys that they no longer require.
Okay, I leave the last word to one of the founders of Seed for Africa. Once again, I ask the same question. If people out there want to assist you, want to help within the organization, what do they have to do?
Well, I imagine that many of us would now want to get involved in one way or the other. And so, in the next video, I will tell us how. But for now, I feel I should address something that I mentioned in the very first video. This is what I said. It may now surprise you to find that one of the things I'm going to highlight is the relationship between Kenya and reggae music. And while the nature of this relationship is unique to Kenya, I will further show that reggae has also significantly impacted the politics and the mindset in other African countries. To illustrate the impact that reggae has had on the politics and mindset in Africa, I'm going to present a couple clips from the African Safari documentary. I will also play a clip from an audio that I recorded when Mutabaruka first appeared in South Africa in 1999. Here are the clips.
Between November 1894 and February of the following year, 14 countries had a series of conferences in Berlin to decide how Africa would be divided up between them. Of the 14, the main participants were Britain, France, Portugal, Germany, Belgium, Italy, and Spain. 6 of the other 7 countries were also from Europe, the 7th being the USA. These lesser 7 apparently attended the convention mainly for reasons of prestige. No Africans were present or had any say in the decisions that were to be made. In carving up Africa, the arbitrary boundaries imposed by the Europeans often caused a tribal or ethnic group to be divided into separate countries. In other cases, it brought enemies together under the same government, causing strife that still exists today. Now, under this European arrangement for Africa, only Liberia and Ethiopia remained independent. When the conference ended, Spain had acquired a few relatively small countries. Italy claimed the much larger countries of Libya, Eritrea, and Somalia. Belgium controlled Central Africa. Germany took 4 countries, including Namibia and Tanzania. Portugal had Mozambique in the east and Angola in the west. France took almost all of Western Africa, plus the island of Madagascar in the east. This lion's share was rivaled only by Britain, who sought to have a collection of colonies from the north of Africa through to the southern tip. That chain was broken only by German-held Tanzania. It is under this arrangement that Zimbabwe became a British colony. Britain soon renamed the country Rhodesia in honor of the British explorer Cecil Rhodes, and they ruled it there up until the mid-1960s. In November 1965, Ian Smith, who was then the Prime Minister in Rhodesia, decided to break away from Britain, declare Rhodesia independent, and to run the country along apartheid lines similar to neighboring South Africa. Britain and the rest of the world failed to stop this happening, and so the indigenous Africans felt they had no option but to engage in a guerrilla war that lasted for the next 14 years.
From the Zimbabwean capital Harare, I'm now joined on the telephone by Jacqueline Tutani, who actively engaged in the armed liberation struggle. First, Jackie, can you describe for us what life was like under the Ian Smith regime? What sort of things do you remember when you think about that era?
When I joined the armed struggle, I was still 13 years old. So it was tough life. We didn't have food, we didn't have anything to put on, and things were tough. So I thought, let me join the armed struggle, because we were suffering. Even at school, it was difficult for us. And during the armed struggle, there was no food, no medication. People were sick, and people were suffering. It was hard life. So to stay in the bush, under the tree, when it was raining, you were putting on no blankets, no whatever, eating food, so being bombed. So things were tough for me. Even some other ladies, in fact, that time they were girls, it was tough. But since we wanted our country, we thought let's fight until we achieve.
You're listening to a clip from the African Safari documentary. This video looks at the social, economic, and political progress of the African race during the 1900s and demonstrates that wherever on earth we might find ourselves, we face common problems that are rooted in our common history. I won't play the whole of this interview, but we'll skip to the reference regarding reggae music. Now, when the war finally finished and Zimbabwe gained its sovereignty, at the independence celebration, there was a very special guest. Can you tell me what you can remember of this?
Our special guest came was Bob Marley. I forgot to tell you, during this and the struggle from the mass, they always give us some radios when we get the chance, when there's a bit of less war. So we used to listen to the reggae music when we used to enjoy. And luckily enough, when we got our independence, there was this guy called Bob Marley, and as a black man, loved him very much. Even now, still love his music, still listen to his music.
Obviously, Zimbabwe felt a very, very strong connection with reggae music. What was the effect of reggae on the struggle?
You know, people were suffering. There was, as I said, there was no food. We have to struggle to get the food what we used to eat. So at least when you listen to reggae music, it used to sustain us. It was nice for us. We used to be very, very happy to listen some of our black fellows singing good music to comfort us during the war.
So, would it be true to say that reggae music made an active contribution to the struggle, and that without that, perhaps people might have lost courage, etc.? Would you say that reggae played an important part in the struggle?
Yes, reggae, it was very, very important to us. It was very nice. It encouraged us to prolong the war. And at least we used to enjoy our music, but it was very successful.
Every man got the right to decide his own destiny. And in this judgment there is no partiality.
World tone and power is a symbol of man. See? That's what we use amongst Babylon. We don't use a stick, nor a stone, nor a gun.
There's no end to this music. This music you can put it up in your house. A placard. It's one of the vehicles that help to free the people from this chain and bondage of oppression.
I used to hate reggae music when I was growing up because of the situation in South Africa, the white men, that what they did to our minds. They made us to hate reggae. They told us reggae was not good for us because they didn't like what reggae is teaching us, that message that they were giving to us because of oppression. That's why they hated about it. And they put that in our parents' minds. Our parents, they put that in our minds. That's why most of our South African youth, they hate reggae music. You see? So, but it's changing these days. I started loving reggae in 1992. Since that time up until today, until the day that I die, I'm going to listen to reggae music. It's a must. It's not a matter of a choice or of a what. It's a must to listen to reggae music as long as you are black. Because reggae music is not a simple music. It's got to be fit, strong enough in the mind to understand it, to feel it, to know yourself. You got to be mentally fit. You see? So I'm asking people, wake up, Africans. The time is high. It's high time now. We got to stand on our own, do our own things. You see, let's stop depending on people, foreigners, like example. Because that's not good. We got our minds, we got abilities. We can do anything that anybody can do. As a human being. We are human beings just like anybody. So let us prove ourselves. Africa up. Africans. For Africans, just like Marcus Garvey said, Africa for Africans.
Come make we study Garvey, come make we study Garvey. Know your history, brother with destiny. Study Garvey, come make we study Garvey.
One cannot talk meaningfully about the social and political progress of the African race at any period during the past 100 years or so without mentioning Marcus Garvey. To do so would be like trying to talk about the development of honey without ever mentioning bees.
You know, this is one of the days. This is one of the days that we dream about. Coming to South Africa. I know that the Jamaican artist, through his poetry and his songs, have written so much things about South Africa. And when Winnie Mandela and Nelson Mandela came to Jamaica, they said that it was the music of the Jamaican people that helped to keep the South African struggle alive. So we give thanks for that. We give thanks for that.
Now, I will just say thanks again for your interest and support. And I want to remind you to subscribe to the channel.
and to click the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when we post the next video. Please also like, comment and share this post with everyone you can. So until the next video, just bless up yourself. Sawa, Kwaheri, Magan.